Football is the life and soul of Brazil. An extravagant claim for a game, but one supported by history and made clear by life in the 21st century. It was football in the late 19th and early 20th centuries which brought together the different races which make up the Brazilian nation. It is a passion for football which has most given the country an identity, 5 times the winners of the World Cup. It's football which gives expression to a national characteristic, enjoying showing off. It's the dominant topic of conversation among both rich and poor. Its style has had many influences. English originally, the game brought to Brazil by Charles Miller, born to English parents in Sao Paulo, returning from his education in the motherland. From the Angolan slaves with the taunting capoeira dance, with the deceptive moves of martial art without ever making contact, thought to be the birth of the samba. From the street games of bygone days which spawned among many the most famous Brazilian of all, Pelé, a legend of Brazilian football still going strong. From all have come a combination of exuberance, flamboyance, grace and invention tinged with mischief, which has set Brazilian football apart. But natural gifts and an instinctive love of a football need development. And that is provided first by an education system in which playing with the ball, not in a team competition or against another school, but on a small court, the football de salon, is a compulsory part of the curriculum. The desire of another Englishman, a graduate of Leeds University with a first in sports science, to introduce the skills of football de salon to all children is the basis of this video. Simon Clifford has learned from Pelé and other great Brazilians, Zico, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Juninho, and is the founder of the International Confederation of Football de Salão. Here is the secret of Brazilian artistry and what Pelé called the beautiful game.
Before we start to play with the ball, we need to get to know the ball and treat it like our friend. We need to develop the same kind of movements that a basketball player would with their hands with the ball, with our feet. So these exercises that we do now are called ball familiarity exercises, warming up exercises where we get used to moving the ball with the inside of a foot, with the outside of the foot, with our sole, and they're very, very important, and the whole basis of all the work that players would do in Brazil starts here with these exercises. So the first one, we take the ball from the inside of our left foot to the inside of our right foot. Very simple, so just tap and tap, okay, on the spot. And as we get a little bit more confident, we can do that a little bit more quickly and develop a rhythm. Then when we can do that, we can move off into space and move the ball forward and run with the ball just with that same movement. And this is a very important first practice. Okay, boys, if you could just do that. So nice and slow, nice and slow. Heads up. Okay, excellent, and stop. The next exercise that we're going to do, we're going to use the sole of the foot. The sole of the foot is rarely used in English football. More so in the last few years when we've had foreign players come into the country, but before that, hardly at all. In Brazilian football, the sole is the most common area used to control the ball. This comes from those players learning in football de salon, where the sole is the key receiving surface. And the sole has many applications. We can pass with the sole, we can dribble with the sole, we can run with the sole of the foot, okay? Our basic warm-up exercise using the sole of the foot is just to drag the ball from left to right, just with that area there at the bottom of our shoe at the front on the sole. So left to right, nice and slow. And as we do it at first, just keep the standing leg planted on the floor. Because we're not used to this, at first it's not easy. But then when we get used to it, we get a little bit quicker, okay? And we can develop something of a nice rhythm. And this helps us, as I said, in dribbling moves, when we're trying to beat players. Many of the dribbling moves that Brazilian players use that we've seen in the World Cup, that we've seen from Ronaldo, from Rivaldo, moves that use the sole of the foot. And this exercise is very important for us developing control with the sole. So if we can have some example, okay, off we go. Nice and wide, not too quick, nice and wide. Head up, Brad. It's important that we keep our head up all the time because in the game, we're always looking for players to pass to. We've got opponents coming to us, so to play with our head down is not very good, and from a young age we've got to try and develop where we're doing everything with our head up. The next move that we'll do is called an elastic. It's a fundamental movement in Brazilian football used in a dribble. The player Rivellino made this move, very famous in the 1970 World Cup, and it's actually named after him, the Rivellino elastic. Ronaldo has used it more recently, and in fact Michael Owen in our own Premier League used this move against West Ham last year in a game, and it was us that showed the move to Michael, and it's one of his favourites. So the elastic move, we move the ball out and then in, all in one movement. Out and then in, all in one. And I'll just show you later how it works in a game. If you could come here, Bradley, without your ball. So I could be facing Bradley in a game, running at him. I'm running at Bradley fast. He's not sure if I'm going to go to his right or if I'm going to go to his left, but I could use the elastic to push out there and then pass. Come again, Bradley. Do a bit faster. Okay, so I'm running at Bradley and I go there, elastic, and I'm past him. So we could just do a few of those. Nearly, try again, push it out, try again, and back. And Mark, if I have your ball, what I sometimes like to do there is after I've done one, not just rush into the next, think maybe what I did wrong. So I'm on my toes, out and in, and I'll stop and I'll just jog behind the ball and think about the next one I'm going to do and get ready for it. The next little move that we're going to look at is a favourite one of mine. I've never seen this one yet in the Premier League. Maybe some of you in a few years' time will be able to do it and we'll see it. And it's called the Ronaldo move. It was made famous by Ronaldo, who had such a good World Cup in 2002. Ronaldo takes the ball with the sole of his foot again, across his body, here, and then steps over it with his left foot. It doesn't look like much, but in a game it can be totally devastating. He used this in the 2002 World Cup to set himself up into position to score a goal. So it's roll the ball across the body, then step over with the left. Nothing more than that. And I'll just show you how it works against the defender. So I'm running up to Bradley in a game, there I go, and past him. Now it's very, very hard for Bradley to defend against that particular dribble, because as I do the first movement, I then step over with my left and it shields the ball. So at that moment, Bradley would have to foul me in order to win the ball. Ready, Brad? So I've rolled across, then step and I'm shielding. So my leg here is protecting the ball. I can push it on and run and I'm past. Okay, let's practice the Ronaldo. Okay, and stop. The next movement that we're going to look at is the Ronaldinho. Ronaldinho did so well in the 2002 World Cup. He scored that fantastic free kick against David Seaman and made the run that took the ball through to the goal for Rivaldo to score the other goal against England. Ronaldinho's favourite move is to bring the ball on the sole of his foot across his body and then step around it with the same foot. It looks very simple, but again it's a devastating move, and yet still one I've never seen yet in the English Premier League. So it's all on one foot, roll and then around. Looks very easy, but it isn't. Roll and then around. It's like the Ronaldo move in that the step allows us to shield the ball as the defender comes in. So if I could have a defender, if you step here, Kieran, please. It's not really a fair match, me playing against you, but as you're the nearest. So I'm going to bring the ball in, okay? Right foot, come for the ball. Then I step around here, okay? So again, the first move is on the sole of the foot. So important in Brazilian football. And the sole of the foot teases Kieran in towards the ball, but it's that it's that second step that will stop him getting it. And if Kieran then wanted to get this ball, he's going to have to foul me or kick me because I'm shielding. Ready? Now, after you've made the mistake, then try and come and get the ball, okay? Ready? So, see? And I'm away from him, blocking him. Try again. Go, ready? And he can't. We'll move on now to a little move that Rivaldo uses, one of my favourite players. We again practice this on our own. It's no use with any of these things, watching television, watching the videos of Brazil or the World Cup or any player, and then thinking straight away, I can go and do that. I hear commentators so many times see Brazilian players and they say, wow, what did they do? It was so difficult. Our players could never do that. You can do it if you practice. Children can do it. It's just a matter of looking at exactly what they did and then breaking it down into bits, learning the bits, learning it on your own, and then later it's possible in the game. So this is one of Rivaldo's. He brings the ball, he brings the defender in, then brings the ball back with the sole of his foot again, behind his standing leg, and then across. He makes like a little triangle. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now you may say, how does that have any use to beat a defender? Well, I'll show you. James, if you can come in. James is a very good defender. He's at Huddersfield Town at the moment, a centre-back. But I still think with my little Rivaldo trick, I'll be able to beat him. In fact, this is one of James's favourites. I know that from coaching him down the years. So we're running to the defender. I show him the ball. So I go 1, 2, 3, and away. Okay? So it's the second touch that is the vital one, because it's like a dog showing the dog the bone to come and get the bone. We're trying to show the defender the ball to get him to follow. So 1, 2, he goes there, 3, and I'm gone. James, if you were there in the corner, I can come into the ball to James. Come on, come on, come on. And then finally I'm gone and away. Very nice move. I think it's better if we practice it moving backwards to get a lot of repetitions in. So in the space, back, behind and across, back, behind and across. Wide with our arms, so that if we're in a game, we would be shielding. Try and keep our head up. And we repeat that movement until it almost becomes second nature, okay? It's another very important one, go. Good. Come on. This next move I named after a friend of mine, Emerson, who played at Middlesbrough. He was a fantastic, strong midfield player, great in the tackle, good at long shots, but he also had some fantastic skills. And his favourite was this little move that I'll show here. If you could come there, Adam, please. He would run into the player, look as though he was going to the player's left side and his right, okay, a little bit further back, Adam, okay, and with a little bit of a sway of his body, come on, he'd chop the ball through his standing leg there and away from the defender. Again, very simple, but very, very effective. I'll show you again, Adam. Okay, so running in, showing you your left side, chop and through and on to goal. It's a favourite move of Roberto Carlos and Denilson, who both play for Brazil on the left side. And as well as being good, like I've showed against Adam there, when you're one-on-one running straight to the defender, it's also good in wide positions. And Carlos will use it as he's running down the left. He'll tempt the right back in towards him, running along with the ball, and just as the defender's coming in to steal the ball, Carlos will nip through with this Emerson move. Denilson used this in the final against Germany. I'll demonstrate that with you, Adam. If Adam and I were running together for the ball, racing for the ball, I'm running and I almost let Adam catch me up and make him think that he can nip in and take it. And at that moment he does, when he just gets in there in front of me, I'll just put it through there with that, and I'm away from him the other side. So I'll show you again slowly. So Adam and I have both been racing for the ball. I've almost deliberately slowed down to let him get just a half metre ahead. Then as he does and goes for the ball, I do this and I'm away and round the back. So if I just show you that off a run, okay? Adam, so we're going to go down here, ready? Come on. And I just slow it down a bit to make him think he's got a chance, come on. And then I'm through there and gone, and I could make a pass. Okay, but to practice that move again, very simple. It can be boring, but without this boring part of repetition, the nice, exciting, enjoyable parts of football are impossible. And that's what I saw in Brazil. The attitude of the children to these practices is fantastic, because I think they realise later on the nice things that they're going to be able to do with the ball. To practice that, we're going to touch forward, no pressure. Okay, you don't need to defend. I'm going to touch forward, yeah, then a little Emerson move. Okay, go. It's important not to lift the standing leg too high. It's quite dramatic. So what I'd like now, if you can pick up the pace a little bit, aim to a corner and then bang, you put one in. Come on, nice and quick, crisp. So we're almost at a sprint. Mark, bang towards this corner, come on. And stop. Good examples here from Kumar. Hit the corner here. Hit the corner. Fast, fast, he's coming for the ball, he's coming, turn. Again, good. That was almost like the great man himself. This next movement is very important. You may think that it's not even football and it's more like dance, but Brazilians do dance with the ball, and perhaps this exercise is why. We see players like Denilson doing those marvellous step-over movements. Stepping over the ball. When we do this, we're hoping to deceive the defender into going the way of the step, and then we'd push the ball in the other direction. But there's really no hard and fast rules as to how many steps that we do. What we must do at the end, after the last step, is take the ball away in the opposite direction. But before that, at the very beginning, we've got to get used to this movement. So, step, around the ball, right, then around the ball, left. And it's important when we do that we drop our shoulder and go down with the knee on the side that we step with, because that's the thing that will deceive a defender. So we go 1, and we go 2, and we go 1, and we go 2. We can do this to music, 1, 2, and we're kind of making a figure of 8 if you look at the feet. With the feet, we start to quicken it up, and instead of being back there on the bottom of our feet, there, we end up on the toes, and we get into something of a rhythm. So we're almost dancing around the ball and making a nice, smooth figure of 8, trying to be quite low as well, dropping the shoulder either side. An example, Adam. Head up. Good lad. Get a little bit low with your knees. Brilliant. Head up. Balance with your hands. And as we do this, we'll find that we're getting smoother and smoother and smoother. And only by practicing this movement without touching the ball are we able to do efficient and effective step-overs that beat defenders in a game. This next one's a lovely move. It was made famous by Leonardo, the Brazilian player from the 1994 World Cup. Again, it's very simple. It's one, again, that we just need to work on our own before we can take it into a dribble. It can even later be used into a pass, and I'll show you that later on. We look as though we're going to come out and kick the ball there with our right foot, but as we do, the heel of our right foot hits the ball back against the standing left foot and the inside of that foot. So it's out, heel, and forward, and stop. Out, heel, and forward, and stop. And just to show you that against the defender, if you can come there, Kieran. I'm running up to Kieran in a game, showing Kieran a bit of the ball. I go to kick there. He looks at the ball, heel, and then I'm away around him. I'll go again. So I'll show you, Kieran. So I go to kick, come on, heel, round, and pass. One more. So I go to kick, heel, and pass around him. Then I could be into goal. But we need to practice it first on our own, get used to that movement. Then later on we can against the defender. As I say, it can also be used as a pass. I'll show you a little example here, Key. You're coming into me, I've got Mark there. I deceive you and use that as a pass over to Mark. So if we can just practice a few of those, let's go. Nice, and again. Good, okay, well done. Our next move comes from Juninho, my friend who did so well at Middlesbrough and in the 2002 World Cup for Brazil. He uses this move when he's had to stop the ball. The defenders come into him and he's stuck in a little space. He pushes the ball out with his foot as though he's making a pass, then brings it back and pushes off in the other direction. So it's push out, stop, and off in the other direction. Push out, stop, and then you'd move off. So to begin, we're just going to do the little push. We're going to start inside of the foot, push out as far as the foot will go, then bring back. And with practice, we can develop more speed, and that's what will sell it to the defender as a pass. He thinks the ball's going off in one direction, out, but we'll then turn and push off in another. So just practice that as we're moving around the space. So I'm coming into Mark, he's took me there and then he's off. That was excellent. Okay, you try one against me, Adam. So I'm coming into you, I follow the ball, then you're off, good. And you, Brads, good. Kieran, good, and away. Juninho will progress that still further and take it all the way around his body, and just let's stop, okay? So the defender will come in and he's going to spin 360 degrees all the way around, okay? Kieran, can you try and show me one of those? Adam? Good boy. Bradley? Good, Bradley. Mark? Now the other thing that we can do when we finished it off, if you imagine we've took the defender all the way around, we can then change direction at the end. So we can come that 360 degrees all the way around with the ball. Then as we get here, we can either do an elastic to finish, so he thinks we're going there and go this way, or we may finish with a little move, change of direction there behind. Bradley shows it with that. Good. And again, Bradley. Nice. Again. So we can put one of the extra moves that we've done earlier on the end as an extra little bit of deception. Kleberson emerged as one of the stars of the 2002 World Cup. I thought he was Brazil's best player in the final. He plays in centre midfield where the space is very tight. You don't get a lot of time on the ball. And this little slam over move that he uses is very important for a midfield player. He takes the sole of his foot over the ball and rolls over the ball and then slams back with the outside of the same foot. So it's slam over and back. And if you'll notice, I'm not just doing it with the foot, because just to use the foot, I'm not going to deceive the defender in the way that I want. So in practice, we want to build up, but we're taking the foot right the way over and push back. Little jog behind the ball, over and back, over and back, over and back. Okay, go. Nice, Mark, excellent. So for the kids watching at home, just to remember, it's very important with this one not to get the ball caught there just in between our feet and to use the whole body. So it's the whole body falling across the ball, then we push back with the whole body. So fall over and push back. I'm using my arms, my whole body, okay? Over and back and stop. Garrincha is one of the all-time greats of Brazilian football. Starred in the 1958 World Cup. Many Brazilians say that he was even better than Pelé, who the world regards as the best player of all time. He was a fantastic player, an attacking player, left-sided player, and his favourite move is a very, very simple move again. A very, very simple move, but as with most of the others, very, very effective. He shifts the ball from his left side to his right side and then away from the defender. If you come in, Walid, he cannons the ball. He looks as though he's going to make a pass with the left foot, and he was left-footed, so the defender's thinking he's going to go that side. Just a step more back, Walid. And as he goes with that left foot, instead of it going there, he used his right foot to cannon the ball off into the other direction. So the right foot's used just as a rebounding surface. So Walid sees me going here, but I go there and away. Okay, let's try 5 or 6 on our own. Nice and wide with our feet. Okay, well done and stop, good. Juggling is one of the best practices that we can do to improve our first touch, and it's also one of the most enjoyable. We've come inside to the gymnasium to practice here, and many of the great Brazilian players learned their skills too in the gymnasium, so it's a great place to work. We have here the boys. Some of them, I think, have the best juggling skills that I've seen anywhere with young players. Bradley, do you want to show us something? Well done, Bradley. Kyle? The skills from the boys there are very nice to see, but at the beginning we've got to start with very simple stuff and get confidence and control of the ball. And one of the first practices for young players is simply to hit the ball with the left foot and catch with the laces area, then with the right and catch. Left foot and catch, right foot and catch. Maybe after a few weeks, instead of trying to be too ambitious and trying to do too many touches, we can build up to doing 1, 2 and catch. 1, 2 and catch. Then maybe 1, 2, 3 and catch. Then we can start to incorporate other parts of the foot and body. But we should try to use the hands to keep the ball up in the air, and this gives us more confidence. What we're going to do now with the boys is just work around the space, and we're going to alternate from right foot to left foot, right foot to left foot, right foot to left foot, right to left, right to left. Nice and steady, just using the laces area. Okay, off we go. Nice and relaxed. Okay, and stop, Mark. Okay, when we're juggling, it's important that we relax our body and don't get too tense and too tight. So try to loosen the arms, loosen the feet, and don't worry too much if the ball drops. Okay? The more times you practice and touch the ball, the better you'll get. It may take a few days, a few weeks, but every day you'll improve a little bit, and it's totally down to practice. Most English players, when they control the ball on their feet, use the lace area of the foot. Players like Paul Merson are very, very good at that. So if a ball comes in, they'll control here. Brazilian players tend to have three main areas. They'll use the inside of the foot there and the outside of the foot here, as well as the middle of the foot. And this has a great advantage to them because if a player is coming in, a defensive player, if you come over to me, Mark, please. Mark's going to throw the ball into me. If Mark then pressures the ball and comes into me close, I might not have a possibility to control the ball here with the inside of my foot, and I can only use the outside. But unless we practice that in our juggling, it's impossible that we'll do it in a game. So if you want to throw into me here, Mark, and then close down to the middle, okay? So I can then use the inside of the foot. We'll go again. Go on, go. So if Mark comes in quickly enough, go again, and blocks me here, I have no option but to use the outside of my foot. Okay? And if I was playing in a game, I could then take outside and move away from Mark to make a pass or a dribble. A little touch outside of the foot and move around the space. Off we go. Just one touch and catch. Okay, and stop. This touch, one of the rare times that I saw this from an England player, was in the World Cup of 1998 from Michael Owen, and it was this outside of the foot touch that he took from David Beckham's pass, played into his path, ran at the Argentinian defence and scored that wonderful goal. So now, Mark, if you could just do some outside of the foot juggles while stood still. 1, 2, 3, keep it going. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Excellent. So Mark there has done 10 fairly comfortably while stood on the spot. So the next thing for Mark is then to try and do 10 whilst moving around the space, which is more difficult. So the next step is to do it at a jog and then to quicken that up and do it fairly quickly moving around. And we'd incorporate the weaker foot as well. So we'd be asking him to go right foot to left foot. So Mark, can you do that and the rest of you just around the space? Off we go. Good, Kyle. And once you feel confident, if you can then incorporate the left side and try and do as many touches on the right as you do on your left. Good, Bradley, excellent. Okay, and stop. We're now going to combine two controlling surfaces. We're going to go from the laces area here to the outside of the foot. Laces area, outside of the foot. Laces, and then outside. Okay, off we go. And stop. Okay. The next practice that we're going to look at is just coming up the body a bit. So we've covered the three main areas: inside of the foot, laces, and outside of the foot, and they're all important. We're now going to look at the knees. So we're going to walk around the space, 2 knees and catch. 2 knees and catch. When the boys feel confident, they can go, take the hands out, and just juggle continually on the knees, okay, from left to right. Off we go. So 2 and catch, Mark. 2 and catch. And when you're confident, off you go. Just knees. And stop. Sometimes in a game, it's impossible that we use anything else other than the chest to control the ball. We're always trying to go as low as we can with our control. So if the ball comes in high at chest area, sometimes I'll ask players to try and get up and see if they can get their knees there, because the knees are an area that we have more control over, the thigh above the knees. Similarly, if the ball comes at knee height, I'll often ask players to get up early and try and take it with their feet. I'll give you a little example, Mark. So a ball's going to come into Mark at knee height, but he'll try and leap up and take the ball with his feet. Rather than staying on the floor and taking the ball with one standing foot down, he'll get up and try and take the ball early with his feet. Ready, Mark? Good. So that ball's coming in at knee height, but he's jumping up to try and take the ball with his feet. Similarly, a ball at chest height, we can try up and get up and bring the ball down with our knees. The further we go down our body, the more control we have over the ball. If we can't avoid taking the ball in our chest, we've got to do it and we've got to get good at it. And the most simple practice to get confidence is just to feed the ball onto your own chest and then catch. Now, as the ball comes into your chest, I recommend you take a little intake of breath, because the ball coming in fast, if we stick the chest out, the ball will bounce away. So just as the ball comes in, if I give a little I'm making sure that I'm pulling my chest back and it's good practice for in a game, and it helps me use the chest as a good controlling surface rather than a rebounding surface. So around the pitch, we're going to go. Okay, simple practice, but the first one we need to do to get good control of that area. Heading's a very difficult skill. Children are often afraid of heading the ball. Even adult players, the great Ronaldo, the Brazilian star, he doesn't like heading the ball. He doesn't score very many goals with his head because I think when he was a child he didn't practice enough heading. It's an easy skill to master, but one that needs confidence and a little bit of courage. For very young players who are not used to heading the ball and are a little bit afraid of it, I think the best way to start is just to look at the ball and bring the ball in gently to our forehead, keeping our eyes open. The middle of the forehead there is the surface that we would use to head the ball. If you shut your eyes when the ball's coming in, you've more chance of getting hurt. So just to get confidence, keep the eyes open and bring the ball into the head. The next level is just to throw the ball up to ourselves, a little connection with the forehead and catch. And we can do that moving around the space. Okay, boys, off we go. Okay, we can try a few juggles in our head when we're confident. Okay, and then combine the heading. We can combine the heading with other body parts. So maybe we'll go back to the feet, the knees, and the head. Okay, off we go. Put a few together. Okay, and stop. Juggling circles are something that we see all the time in Brazil in the parks, on the beaches. It's a gathering of friends who come together to show what they can do with a ball. We've got a little juggling circle here, and hopefully we're going to be able to show you some nice tricks. Okay, Mark, do you want to come out? Let's start off with different ways to get the ball in the air. How many do you know? Give yourself a bit of room. Nice. Okay, 1, 2. Any more? Okay, Bradley, ways to get the ball from ground to the air. The easiest way to get the ball up into the air is just to use the sole of our foot and then the laces. And when we're practicing, we shouldn't use our hands at all. If the ball goes loose when you're practicing, don't pick it up with your hands, always use your feet. So the easiest way is that. Another very simple manoeuvre to get the ball in the air is just to pinch our feet together beneath the ball and it'll come up. And a third way that's very simple again is to put the back of each shoe, the back of our heel, grip the ball there, okay, between our feet, and just jump up together, and then we're into a juggle. They aren't that much use in a game, obviously, but again, they're very, very good for your confidence. We're now going to look at some little juggling tricks. Once we've got the ball up into the air, we'll try some round the whirls, try some rebounds off the inside, outside, front of our shoe, crossing our leg over, okay? We'll try some traps as well. Let's see how many traps we can get. Holding the ball here, between our knee, on our chest, head, neck. Okay, Waleed, if you want to come out first. Excellent. Just relax. Nice. Brilliant. Brilliant. Nice, Bradley. Well done. Nice. It's important, whatever your position, that you can control the ball. It's the fundamental of football. Control the ball and you can control the game. James is a central defender, Kyle is a goalkeeper. They need ball control as much as the attacking midfielder or the centre forward. These boys have all learned those skills through practice, practice and practice, and you can too by doing the same. We're going to look at some dribbling moves, and to do these we're going to use the football salon ball. The football salon ball is just a size 2 compared to the size 5 that we'd normally use in football. It's got another important difference. As well as being filled with air, the bladder of the football salon ball is filled with foam, which means that it doesn't bounce. Comparing this to a size 5, there's a big difference. Football salon has been played in Brazil since the 1920s. It developed in the gymnasiums and on the hard courts, the outdoor courts. By the 1960s it had become more popular in terms of participation than conventional football, and all of the great Brazilian players, Pelé, Zico, Rivellino, Careca, even modern greats like Ronaldo and Rivaldo have come out of football salon. It's a 5-a-side game, a fast game. The court for the game is pretty much the same size as a basketball court, and because of the nature of this ball, the ball doesn't lift in the air, so the game's all about close passing and dribbling. So in our passing and dribbling sections, we're going to use this ball. We're going to start with our dribbling. We're going to work in pairs. I'm going to use some of the manoeuvres that we did in the warming up with the ball section. If you remember, we had the Ronaldo, the Rivellino, the Rivaldo. We looked at some of the moves of the great Brazilian players. We're going to try these now against a partner and put a little bit of pace into the run up to the move and use our partner to help us in our timing. Kieran, I'm going to run to you, and first of all I'm going to do the Ronaldo move, okay? So I have to run at Kieran. I have 2 things to think about. Moving the ball myself, the timing that I'm going to use for the move against Kieran, and I've got to think about Kieran, because if I get it wrong, I'll be on top of Kieran. Okay, Kieran, I'll show you a bad example. I'll run to you. If I get too close and try the move, I'll be running into him. Okay, again. Too early, and I might as well not have done the move, because I've done the move already, and Kieran's still there for me to defeat, okay? So the timing of these is absolutely crucial. And the only way that we can get the timing right is to work in little areas as we are here, in pairs. You just need a friend to do this. So we'll start off at walking pace. So I'll walk up to Kieran with a ball. He's not going to tackle me. That's about the right moment. Ronaldo and past. I'll do a little change of direction here. There's Kieran again, and I'll walk. Timing, about there, and on. Change of direction, pass into Kieran. And Kieran's going to have 2 goes at me. Just walking pace, picking the right moment, okay? Then he turns, and again, head up all the time. A little bit early there. Then Kieran will play into me. Eventually, when we're used to the move, we've done the individual work ourselves with the ball, we're doing these examples, which we're walking through, we can progress to a jog, and then to where we're moving fairly quickly. Okay, come on, Key. Again. Okay, 2 at me, go. And go. Good. We'd build up from this to where the partner, your partner, would actually be tackling you, okay? But for the minute, just little Ronaldos, running at the partner, start slow, build the speed up, okay? 2 and then swap, off we go. This next stage is absolutely crucial because we first need to learn the move in isolation and be able to manipulate the ball and our body in the correct manner to perform the move. The next stage is to put it into this controlled exercise with a partner. It could be your mum, could be your dad, your friend, your brother. Most of the training that we're doing just requires you and another person. Here I'm using Kieran, and he's helping me as a passive defender, somebody who's not tackling me, just get the timing right for this move. Later on I might use the move in a football to salon game, and after that I'll be confident enough to use it in an 11-a-side game of football. But we need to go through this progression, and this is stage 2. So Kieran, we're going to be on the Ronaldinho move. Just to remind you, it's a roll in, then a step around. Okay, so I'll come up to you fairly slow, first of all, and past. Okay, and again. Hard look. Yeah. Good. Starting slow and building up, off we go. Go. We're just going to do one more for fun to finish. If you can pass the ball to me, Kieran. Pele used this a couple of times. Okay, key, we run into the defender. We then hold the ball up and make them wait. Okay, we bring the ball back in between our heels, up in the air, over his head, and on. Okay, I'd run at Kieran a second time, so it's run in, stop the ball and hold it up, bring the defender into the ball, back of the heels, over, and on. Okay, off we go. Tempt me in. Okay, so whether you're playing Sunday League or Serie A, that's a great move that'd beat any player. Well done, lads. Kieran, the first one that we're going to do, we're going to bring the ball across our body with the sole of the foot, okay, and then pass in with the inside of the foot. So if you can do that and return to me. Good. Okay, now the reason that we do this is that as we bring the ball across our body with the sole of the foot, if we're getting closed down by a defender, he'll be tricked into thinking that I'm going to take the ball on the left side because my body is shaping in that direction. So if you can come in, Mark, and close me down, ball comes into me, come on, Mark, so I'm across and play, and I've got away from Mark. Again, Kieran. So across and away from Mark. Off we go, let's go. Kieran. Good. Stay on our toes when we're waiting, very important. It's very important when we're waiting for the ball to come in that we stay on our toes, on the balls of our feet, in order that we can react, very much like a boxer would in the boxing ring. If the ball comes to my right, to my left, or comes too short, I can react more quickly to the ball, and if I'm close to a defender, I have more chance of getting there first. So Kieran, if you can just give an example of staying on your toes. So he's always on the bottom, the front of the sole of his foot. Okay? Stay on your toes, toes, toes. Toes, so he's never stopping. Toes. So if it's a bad pass that's wide of him, he's more chance and time to react. Okay, and stop. It's very important when we receive a pass that we get the ball out from our feet quickly. If the ball's stuck under our feet, there's more time for a defender to come in and steal the ball. More important still with a football or salon ball, because it's heavy, it'll get stuck under our feet if we're not careful very easily. Using the inside of the foot, particularly if we're young and haven't got a lot of strength in our legs, it's very hard. If you play into the inside of my foot, Key, it's very hard for me to get the ball out there from my feet. It's much easier to use the sole of the foot. And this is one of the reasons that the sole of the foot is used and developed so much in Brazilian football. So Kieran, so I bring it out from my feet, sole, and pass inside. Out from your feet, sole, Kieran. So out, sole, and pass. Out, sole, from the feet, and pass. Out, sole, and a nice pass. And when we're making that short side-footed pass, it's important to get into the habits that we'd require when we use the bigger ball, the bouncy ball. Because this ball won't lift, if we're not careful, we can easily be sloppy and take a bad body position. What we need to do in hitting the short pass is get our shoulders and head down over the ball, yeah? Hit through the middle of the ball and the ball will stay low. So out and crouch and low. Good, Kieran. Out, low, and hit. Okay, off we go. Staying on our toes. Make a nice body shape as we make the pass. We're using the footballer's long ball for these passing exercises. You can use any ball, a size 4, a size 5, whatever you've got at home. We're using this here because it's a good ball to use in the short passing exercises. It's harder to find the middle of this ball, so when you come to the bigger ball, you find that the bigger ball is easy to use because you've got to be much more precise with this. But you can use any ball. Kieran, the next one that we're going to do, again, will buy us time if we're getting closed down by a defender. We're going to use the little Emerson move as the ball comes in. Okay? Bradley, if you can go and close Kieran down. Yes, if you come from this side. Okay, ready, Key? Nice, and pass. Okay, again. So he's using that to deceive Bradley. Bradley's only seeing his standing leg lifted. He takes the ball through behind the standing leg and his whole body then acts as a shield. It's a very simple but really effective deception. So just how it works with Kieran and I, side of the foot pass and Kieran to me. Okay, so you've got to get it out from your feet, through and pass, through and pass, through and pass. Well done. Now the Ronaldo move we use as a dribbling move to beat a player. It also has use as a turn and a pass and as a pass receive. It's one of those basic moves that we can learn through our getting to know the ball work. Has many applications that we can use in all aspects of the game. Okay, I'll just give you a quick example of how it can be used as a pass. Mark, if you come into me, you can take the ball there, pass the ball to me, then Bradley's going to close me down. Okay, I've got you there, Kieran. So into me, Bradley, come for the ball as soon as he passes. Yes, so come in, use the Ronaldo there, and it's perfect because what I'm doing, as well as making a disguised pass that he can't see, my body then is stopping Bradley getting at Kieran who's got the ball. Again. So I'm shielding the ball and it gives Kieran plenty of time. One more. So that's the Ronaldo used as a pass. In the same way, the Emerson that we've just looked at can also be used as a pass to the same effect, yes? And again, I'm shielding. Okay, one more. So using the Ronaldo as a pass receive, again, I can buy myself a little bit of time. Bradley, you'll be the defender again. So Bradley's going to come in from my right, yes. As Kieran passes in, I'm going to go into a Ronaldo. It'll give me space and time and shielding on my left side, enough to pass to Kieran. I could go on a dribble or I could shoot. Okay, Brad? Go. Ronaldo, I've got loads of time, and into Kieran. A lovely little move. Again, go, Key. Bradley has no chance of getting that ball at all. So a little Ronaldo receive, and then a pass. Off we go. We can use many of our main moves that we did in getting to know the ball as pass receives. The elastic, the Rivaldo, the Danielson, they'll all fit and buy us a little bit of space and time. Just to finish here, we're going to do a couple of tricky receives that are nice to do, nice to look at and watch. The first one, Kieran, that we're going to do, you're going to play into me, and I'm going to run over the ball with my standing foot and flick up with my trailing foot into the air, do 3 juggles if I can, and then return to you, and you'll do the same, okay? So I'm on my toes, so over, up, 1, 2, 3, and as it drops, I'll play back and you do the same, Key. Lovely. And to me, okay, off we go. Well played, and stop. Well done. So our last one is nothing more than a bit of fun, but with practice it's one that's quite achievable. Okay, Kieran, if you're playing to me, I'm going to first lift the ball up with the front area of my foot, step over with the left, juggle into the air with the trailing leg, a couple of touches and then back to you, okay? Okay, so up, over, juggle, and on the drop, play, you do the same. Nice, well done. Fantastic. Okay, off all of us go. Turning with the ball is a fundamental part of the Brazilian game. The Brazilians are noted for their ability to ask for the ball in one direction but quickly turn and play off in the opposite direction. Mark, if you're going behind Kieran, so let's just imagine that Kieran is getting tightly marked by Mark. So Kieran's going to receive the ball. In English football, people tell you a lot, play the way you're facing. But I think if you play the way you're facing all the time, you're never going to score a goal. You've got to be positive, adventurous and attack. So Kieran's going to turn and attack towards the goal. I play into Kieran. He's going to do the Jairzinho turn, the great player of the 1970 Brazilian team. This was one of his favourite moves when close into the box, turning a defender. And Key, you're going to play the ball off your standing leg, okay, behind, through the gap, here, yes, and spin Mark. Go, nice. A little turn at the end, and then pass back into me. Go in again, Key, okay, and the second one. Nice. Brilliant, and to me. Okay, one more. Nice, and after 3, we'll swap with our partner. Just on that turn, if you come back, Kieran, we can, if we like, not touch the ball, okay? This leg, our standing leg at the back, we're playing the ball off the inside of that leg. If we want, we can just let the ball run through if the angle's correct. So Kieran, he's just going to step over the ball, okay? So mix them up, do 3 and then change with your partner. Let's go. Okay? Okay, good example here from Bradley of the turn that we do, where we're not touching the ball, we're just running over it. What Bradley's doing very well is he's throwing his body over the ball, so if a defender's close to him, the defender's not going to see the ball and will likely follow Bradley. So he's doing a fantastic step and he's timing it very well as the ball comes in, but he's not actually touching the ball. Go on. So I'll follow that and Bradley's gone. Excellent. The next turn that I'm going to look at is the Edmundo. Edmundo is a very famous player in Brazil. He's known for his aggressive front play. He's not figured in the national team for the last 2 years, but he's a very, very good attacker, fantastic attacker. This Edmundo turn he used to great effect against Man United in the last World Club Championships and scored a goal after turning the defender with it. So Kieran, it's very important with this one that I play the ball in very strongly to you, particularly because it's a football that's long ball and heavy. And what you're going to do is run to the ball and meet it, use your kicking foot as a ramp, okay? Put a little bit of spin in it, the ball should lift up into the air and turn behind you. You go and turn onto the ball. When you get to the other end, okay, I'd like you to do a little Cafu turn, just that, bring the ball across your body here, okay? So you get to the other end and just that, yes? Well, let's look at this Edmundo. Are you ready, Kieran? So be aggressive in your run, as the man himself is, and run to me. If you run to me, we'll get more on the ball and more chance of lifting it. Well done. Okay, off we go. Good. Good, Mark. And rest, well done. Just to show you how that turn would work against a defender, if you could come in, please, James, and run with Kieran. Okay, so we'll imagine Kieran is running away from the goal that he's attacking. He's going to take his marker with him, which would be James, okay? So James is perhaps thinking that I'm going to get a return ball back off Kieran. Okay, you pass the ball back to me, Kieran. Pass back. So that's what James would normally expect Kieran would do. Again, we hear a lot of coaches saying, play the way that you're facing. I don't agree all the time, and I think playing the opposite way to which you receive the ball gives the attacker a lot of advantage. It's not done enough here, it's a high risk, but if we don't take risks in football, we won't win games. And what Kieran's going to do here is try and spin James with that little Edmundo turn. Okay, ready, Kieran? So you've got to run to me and take James with you. Good, and he's gone around the back of him. Super. The last turn we name after Tostão, the great player, the attacker of the Brazil 1970 team who played alongside Rivelino, Jairzinho and Pelé. It's a lovely turn, difficult to master, so we need to take it slow at first. If I can put a ball into you pretty slowly, Bradley, at first, and we can have a look at you and get the shape of it, okay? So he's going to step into the ball. He then twists off his back leg, and his back leg, when he turns, becomes his front leg, okay? So he looks as though he's going to play the ball with his right foot, but he doesn't. He spins and pivots, and he ends up playing off his right in the opposite direction. It's a lovely move that has a smoothness that will only come through practicing the move again and again and again. Brilliant. Okay, let's all go. These are all nice turns that each and every one of you will be able to do if you do that one thing, practice. Keep going. We've come to the part of the video that most of you will be interested in. We're going to learn to bend the ball like a Brazilian. Now, bending the ball is not easy, and like everything else that we've looked at, we get good at it through practice, through repetition, through repeating the same action again and again and again, so that it gets to being near perfect. Now, the first swerving shot that we're going to look at is the inside of the foot bend. This is the sort of free kick that David Beckham would take. Rivaldo uses this, Juninho uses this same one. In Brazil, this is known as the cavita, And we take the inside of the foot when we strike the ball, and we hit only the half to a quarter of the ball, depending on how much power we want. Lots of swerve, just a quarter. If you want some swerve and to go for power as well, maybe half the ball here. We use the inside of our foot. Different players like different techniques, and I think you should try and use different parts of the inside of your foot here and see what you prefer. Rivaldo uses the end toe here, okay? David Beckham uses more the middle of the foot. I prefer this area here. You'll only find out which you prefer through practice. If we're looking to get a little bit of height on the ball, we'll come underneath the ball as well, and we'll have to lean back. So I think in the beginning, when we're trying to practice this, we shouldn't use the goal. This is both passing practice and shooting practice. A shot is a pass into a certain part of the goal. We don't need a net to do this practice. We can use our partner. Okay? So if I use James, and just over maybe 7-8 metres, all I'm going to do is ask James to put his hands in the air. Now James, his hands, they represent the top corner of the goal where I'm going to look to put the ball. Okay? So if I can be accurate, I just want to dink the ball into the space between his hands, and hopefully he won't have to move his legs very much. So I'm going to swing the ball slightly out to his left and then into his hands, nice and gentle. And over this distance, I'm just getting used to the correct movement and the correct run-up. The run-up is vital. I can often tell if a young player is going to hit one of these kicks correctly or not correctly just by the run-up. Okay, James? Okay, it's a bit low, so I need to hit the ball further down to get it up. Okay? Now, when we've got used to doing that over a shorter distance, I can pull James back. Okay, if you go back a little bit, James, about twice the distance. And I can do the same, exactly the same practice, but look to get a little bit more distance. It's actually better because it's more realistic to taking a free kick in a game. And if I'm trying to get bend on a ball over a short distance, it can sometimes be difficult because the ball only starts to swing in once the power on the ball has decreased. Okay? That bent nicely, but it was a bit low. We're going to look at the banana shot, the outside of the foot bend, that's known in Brazil as the trivela, which means 3 toes. And there is 2 ways that we can do this. We can either, as a shot, use the 3 toes to connect with half of the ball. This was the thing that Roberto Carlos did in the 1997 Le Tournoi, that fantastic free kick against Fabian Barthez. Or we can use the top of the toes here, and that's more useful as a pass because it won't be as powerful as the toes, but we'll get more accuracy. And this was commonly used by Dunga, who was the Brazilian captain in the 1994 and 1998 World Cups. So again, I'm going to use James. And first, James, I'll use the toes area, okay, which would be more a shot. You ready? So if you can catch these. That was a nice one. Okay, so this run-up is a lot more straight than the curved run-up. That bent nicely with the inside of the foot. And this is fantastic as a shot because we're using the toes. It's very, very hard. If we now move to the top of the toes, we won't get the same power, but we should get a little bit more accuracy. And this is better as a pass. The third effect that we're going to put on the ball is backspin. Backspin isn't so much use for shooting at the goal unless the goalkeeper's off his line, because when we put backspin on the ball, the ball will sit up and hang in the air, and it's going to give the goalkeeper more time to see it. But backspin is very good for putting on a ball that you're passing to one of your teammates, particularly if he stood in space. And some of the fabulous passes that David Beckham uses, he uses the technique that I'll show you now with backspin. If we pass over a short distance, we can get the backspin with a slightly different technique. James, just come into me a little bit closer, okay? We can come to the ball and stab it and not follow through, and we'll get some backspin on the ball. That's no use over a long distance. And the technique that Beckham uses for his long passing, and players for Brazil like Cafu and Roberto Carlos who'll switch the ball over the wings, is to come down through the top of the ball as we kick, stroke through the bottom, and we'll then come up and get backspin on the ball. As I say, for a shot, it's better if the keeper's off his line. If not, this is a technique you do not normally use for passing. Okay, so if you're ready, Waleed, yes? Plenty of backspin on it. Okay, James, to you. Ready? We'll finally look at putting topspin on the ball. It's a very, very difficult skill, and there's few players, even at the professional level, who can do it. In Brazil, the ball with topspin is known as the falling leaf, the folha celia, and it was made famous by Didi, the player who did so well in the '58 World Cup and won the World Championship with Brazil that year. The ball's hit very hard with the toes and will lift up. Once the power on the ball decreases with topspin, the ball falls very quickly, like a leaf dropping from a tree. And it was this free kick that Ronaldinho used against David Seaman. People said it was a fluke. It wasn't. He's done that many times before. He did it for his club Grêmio on 3 occasions. So, very, very difficult. If we think of tennis, or table tennis, we hit the bat on the ball. To get topspin is not too difficult. With football, it is difficult because the ball is on the floor and it's hard to get under it. But I'll do my best. Okay, James? Yeah? Ready? There you go, that was perfect. So it went high and then just dipped in at the last. We're going to look at some shooting practices. Shooting is nothing much more than a pass. It's a pass into the goal. It's often faster than a pass we'd do to a teammate because we're trying to beat the goalkeeper. But our passing practice is a very good practice for the technique that we need for shooting. I'm going to put some balls into the boys now in the middle of the pitch, and they're going to finish first time. Then we're going to look at some volleys because the overhead kick and the volleyed shot is part of the Brazilian game. But this low shot into the corners of the goal is very, very important. Okay, so James first, finishing first time. And finish. Good. Okay. Okay, try and run in onto the ball. Yes, Mark? If you keep it low, you're making it harder for the keeper. Excellent, Bradley. When we look at striking, bending the ball, hitting the ball for a pass, it's the same techniques that we're using shooting. So here, as the ball comes in, sometimes the player won't have a choice. They'll have to use the inside of the foot, the cavita, maybe the outside, the trivela. They may put backspin on it if the goalkeeper comes out, or they may just strike through it with a powerful shot, but they won't have a big choice because the ball's coming in fast. As to the technique, but the practices that we do in striking the ball put us in good stead for these shooting practices. Okay, this time I'm going to put the ball in slightly higher, okay, and you're going to try and volley the ball into the goal. So hit it first time, in. Excellent. Okay, Waleed, running in. You tell me when you need it. And finish, James. Well done, Waleed. Good, well done. Well done. Finish, it's a nice one. That's a great finish. Well done, Mark. Nearly, that's a great volley. Good. Well done. Good effort. That was super, a good action. Oh, that is lovely. Well done. James, if you come in, just while we're at this point, we must make clear that it's impossible to go from being a beginner to somebody putting the ball into you in the box and expecting you to score a goal. But the touch practices that we do in our juggling section, James, inside of the foot, inside, front of the foot, outside, sideways volley. These touch practices are the beginnings of successful volleying. So before we go into this, we need to spend a lot of time practicing over a short distance, bringing it out, and then we're able to do this successfully. For the correct volleying technique, it's important that we follow the ball with our eyes all the way over while it's crossed, and then as the ball comes in, we need to get our knee up above the ball, keep our head down, and then we're able to keep the ball down and hopefully we'll get a goal. We're going to now combine some of our moves to beat players with a shot at the end. We'll combine them because that's what we find in the game. We look at a player like Ronaldo. So many of his goals in the World Cup came after dribbles where he beat defenders. We're going to use James to be the defender. James has used the same type of training, exactly the same type of training that we've done in this video since he was 8 years of age. He's now 15, he's been signed by Huddersfield Town, a professional football club. So he's done really, really well. He's going to be a tough opponent for the attackers here to face. So James, if you can go out into defence. Okay, so I'm going to play the ball into the lads here. Okay, Kieran, you're going to be first. First touch out from your feet, run it in towards James, you have to beat him, and the minute that Kieran gets half a yard, the slightest space where from a deception he can find any room against James, he then needs to have a shot because James will come back at him quickly and the opportunity will be gone. Okay, Key, go. Try to accelerate, good, you've got a half a yard. Okay, next. Excellent, Bradley, fantastic, what a great little move that was. That was the same step over that Ronaldinho used to set up Brazil's first goal against England, which Rivaldo scored. Let's use some of our moves to beat players. Nice, the Ronaldo. Left foot. Excellent. That's fantastic. What fantastic feet. Well played, Adam. A player like Juninho, when he takes the ball, he said to me he always looks for the goal, straight for the goal, and tries to accelerate as quickly as possible to top speed. Defenders hate players running at speed, and what the boys should do here is get into their stride and up to their full sprint with the ball as quickly as possible. If James is able to hold them up and they stop, they've got less of a chance of getting past James. But some of the tricks that we used earlier to beat players were appropriate for if the ball is stopped. For example, the trick where we stop the ball and flicked it over our head. That's one that we can use in that situation. But if possible, we're trying to get at James as fast as we can and not break stride. Okay, Mark? Off you go. Whoa! Well played. Super. So don't forget to practice every day. And if you do, who knows, maybe you can bend it like a Brazilian. Kieran,